As has happened with many big franchises these days, or establishing franchises, you see a brand expansion beyond the cinematic lens. Dune is getting the same treatment. I mean, we've known about that for a while. Again, the Dune film, I think, solidly landed. I mean, again, people speak. I don't know, again, necessarily how it did entirely because we don't have access to the HBO Max numbers for the same day streaming thing that they were doing. But the film, I think, did well in theaters. As I stated, it was my first experience back into the theater myself, and I just loved it. Beautiful score, amazing movie, very well crafted, heavily artistic. Really enjoyed the piece, even without having read the Dune book. I thought it was very accessible and really, really solid a film delivery. Should have gotten some Oscars, but anyway, in my opinion, that film fared well critically and with audiences. People still rave about it to this day, at least from people that I'm in the circles of. So it wasn't a surprise to me that there's been expansions. Maybe we know about that HBO Max show that's been revealed in the press, at least is being worked on. Dune Part 2 has been greenlit. They had that graphic novel adaptation of the movie. And then you also have this game coming out that was teased as part of the Game Awards of 2021 from Funcom, I think it's the studio. I might have that wrong. But this is called Dune Spice Wars. And I don't know exactly, again, what this game is going to be. It was still like an early preview. It looks like it's definitely set in the world of Dune. It had the atmosphere as very reminiscent of the movie. And it's going to be debuting, I believe, on Steam. Because it said, at least in the video, you could wishlist it. But let's go ahead and take a better look. I mean, there's a couple gameplay trailers that have released thus far, and I'm going to save those for a separate video. But I want to take this opportunity to learn more about it. Because I don't know the studio entirely. I'm familiar with the Dune property because, again, of the film, so I know what I'm looking for, and the signs are there to clearly articulate it as much. But I don't have a clear sense on where the studio might take this or even what the game is formatted as. So let's go ahead, though, and take a look. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the behind-the-scenes video, and we'll get a learning opportunity. Maybe, at some level as well, an ability to appreciate this beyond just watching the game for ourselves. Not for ado. It's, most featurettes, that's why I like to cover them on this channel. You get a more scenic perspective. Here we go. I'm going to cue it up. This is what we've already seen. See, again, it appears to me like the world of Arrakis. I think it's Arrakis, right? Again, still one watch. I need to go back and
Dune
rewatch
Spice
it.
Wars is mainly a strategy game with some 4X elements. So you can expect to explore the world, try to take control of the planet itself.
We really wanted to give the Dune fans our own interpretation of what we think is the Dune universe. Our game is mainly based on the books.
Okay.
It has been
so I wonder again,
the whole production.
Is this different from the film then?
It's still a wonderful inspiration.
Is this like a separated canon?
As an art director, I also
Characters look different,
have
so perhaps
to make sure that the mood is really great for the game. We had this idea of playing with complementary colors in order to bring even more juiciness to the game. And
it's a great
the obvious choice
presentation.
was to
although again, it's weird because the presentation looks so reminiscent of the film. But then it sounds like what they're saying, it's separated. The two are distinct from one another.
Yellowish daylight opposed to the bluish but still dark night.
It's gorgeous.
So Larry's role is to
I like how someone's got
pretty,
I just saw the medicine ball or yoga ball, whatever they call it. I think it's yoga ball. I don't know
Dune,
medicine
the
ball.
planet's Arrakis,
They got
is
one at their
made
studio. I
of
think it's kind of cute.
Sand and rocks, and we learned during research on this project that there is many types of deserts. Actually, all colors can exist, and we contacted a geologist who taught us everything about the structures underneath deserts. And it's fascinating.
So they got a realistic perspective. That makes sense. Battlefront did the same thing in terms of their
so this is
or
our
Battlefront 2
default
specifically.
desert theme, but we've made other themes.
Make it realistic, but still set it within that sci-fi world.
This would be another one based on salt, and we also have like a volcanic landscape.
So there's this part in the game where you will meet the leaders. The art director will come to me and then he will tell me oh, we need this leader animation right now. And I will ask him, oh, so how is their personality? And for this one, he will tell me oh, she's approachable, she's more friendly. So we wouldn't want to make her eyebrow like go down like this, because like that.
You just get all the
that would
abstract
make her
details.
look
You're like, okay, employ this as the
scary.
image.
She looks angry.
Well, I think it looks
You
fine.
wouldn't
And
approach someone like
maybe
this.
that's more so articulated in the books, but again, it looks
I
so
will
similar
make
in
her
certain elements
eyebrows
of the film
go.
that it's interesting.
Just keep a neutral face like this.
Maybe it's
She
something
looks-
that can
she looks
exist
approachable.
within both worlds. I don't
So
know.
well, I mean, because it's been secret up until now, we haven't been able to like reach out to people and be quite so obvious about it. But we've been seeing constantly for the last couple of years since this has been from when it became just an idea to what it is now. We've seen hundreds of people on these forums, on the Discords and stuff, asking for RTSs, asking for 4X games, trying to encourage conversation, get those guys talking. You want an RTS game, don't you? I know you do. Talk about it. Tell me how much
I
you want it. What
admire
would you
the
want from that
devotion to
game?
fan input.
No, we couldn't be quite that obvious.
I'm
but
just not sure
we were definitely
Twitter's the
jumping
best
in there
place
every
for
time
that.
there was a mention of an RTS or a 4X.
I see what's on your
And
computer.
hopefully that'll build towards a better product.
I've been a Dune fan for a long time, and I can assure you that this is the strategy game that you want, need, and deserve.
So most of the stuff we're seeing again is what we've seen before, that reveal teaser. That was a beautiful animation. I remember they probably did that before. Even the music feels the spirit of the film. That's very interesting to me. I mean, again, it's surprising me because the Dune movie, like many other franchises, usually establishes pieces in its canon outside of the film that are adjacent. I mean, not every... Well, actually, that brings up an interesting comparison on a couple levels now that I think about it. I don't know how many people are actually paying attention to the game. I haven't heard the largest amount of reception to it, but if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, that Gollum game coming out from Daedalic Entertainment, I think it's how you pronounce the name, I might be wrong, but they're releasing a Gollum game. Who knows if that's going to fare? I mean, well, Lord of the Rings is in an interesting state these days, but the way that they expressed the game, I covered about 4 trailers, I think, for it thus far, 4 pieces of marketing, including a developer conversation, essentially, where what was stressed was, I don't believe I think similar to what at least I'm getting from an impression with this game, that the Gollum game is not in the canon of the films. I think it's trying to be split apart and just more so be a manifestation of the book. I think that's what they were going for. But something was articulated again within that interview that they were really trying to prioritize the world as Tolkien had envisioned it. And so some of their character illustrations, specifically like the Mouth of Sauron, for example, were drastically different from what debuted in the movies, which again, it seems to separate the two. I mean, maybe you could say that the feature's aged, perhaps, and maybe it's still with. I mean, it appears like it fits within the Lord of the Rings world, but it's not a part of the films as far as I understand, because it's its own thing. I get the appeal with that. You can have creative liberty in terms of the story that you want to tell versus being entangled by the demands of the studio or by the pre-existing canon. Even though, again, you're adapting source material, and you want to make sure that that's your prioritized element. That's kind of the same thing I'm getting here on many different levels to that game, which is why I think it's such a good comparison. You've got a presentation that is very similar, at least in the environment and the structure, to Dune as a world, but you've got something that is, as the developers have stressed, distinct, but is attributed to the source material. And I appreciate, by the way, the push to... And I said the same thing as well with Lord of the Rings, even though now when I was making a comparison with the Gollum game to Amazon, saying, well, at least one studio gets how to make an authentic Lord of the Rings project. I mean, even the films better master that than at least the sounds of what Amazon's working on. But Dune was very faithful to source material, as I understand. Again, I haven't read the book yet. I really want to. But the person that I went with who had read the book and who was knowledgeable with the Dune lore more than I was, again, that was a first look for me, said it was very faithful in articulation. So I understand there's that appreciation thrown the way of Dune because of what they did with the cinematic property and how seriously they took it. And I see the same here, even if perhaps, again, it's unique. I mean, any franchise can expand perhaps even into non-canon territory. It is familiar, though, to see the brand expansions. But I think in terms of what I'm seeing for a game overall from its vision, that's very interesting. So now going forward this game, I can say safely, I think, that there's an element of reverence in the production of it. However long it's been worked on. Not just, I'm sure, for the fans of this particular company. I'm not familiar with much of their work, but at the very least, I can see that they're trying to put out an effort to make a story that matches the tonality in the world of Dune as they feel best serves the book. What are your guys' thoughts with Dune Spice Wars? I mean, again, the visions here, it's interesting. I'm going to cover some gameplay trailers as well in the future in another video to get a better look at the game itself, but I think the vision behind it leaves a lot to be perhaps appreciated. Let me know what your feelings are down below on Dune Spice Wars, as well as what you feel about this studio in terms of them producing a Dune game. Do you think in terms of the style that they bring with their products that it best fits the Dune world? Again, feel free to contribute all of your thoughts down below. Long story short, promising start. I think in terms of the gameplay trailers, I'll articulate a little more in terms of the game's portrayal, but I think in terms of the vision, that sounds beautiful. And we'll see what happens with Dune, or Dune Spice Wars. I think it might be a good brand expansion. Time will tell. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.